Transitioning from mere potential, materializing the essential. Ascend to the sacred stage, just prior to the enlightened fate. Blossoming and unfolding, releasing the transitory. Purification seen as glory. Emerge from light into light, the poignancy. Truth ignites, embodying sublime favor, cherishing the glorious Savior. Express destined behavior, yet knowing love is further, never willing to complicate, blossoming, ready to regenerate, signifying an intelligent faith. The blossom is the first sign of fruit, resounding the wisdom and truth. Love the tale of the rebirth, struck the artificial body called earth. Now consciousness assess the clarity of inner works. Awaken from dormancy and ephemeral tendencies. Blossoming, embodying sublime favor, while cherishing the glorious Savior. Express the strange behavior, yet knowing Lord is further, never willing to complicate, blossoming, ready to regenerate, signifying an intelligent faith. The blossom is the first sign of fruit, resounding the wisdom and truth. The tale of rebirth, of the artificial body called earth. The consciousness asserts the clarity of universe. Awaken from dormancy and ephemeral tendencies. Blossoming. The three great portents. The three great portents not only speak of the awakened consciousness and the triumphant return of Christ's material consciousness, but also are indications how certain disturbing happenings may follow these events. This is why Paul urged putting on the whole armor of more love, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, the ego. One must be prepared for self-deception when awakened consciousness seeks to take full control. Sometimes there is a tendency to feel the awakening process brought new trials and tribulations, with the last stages being worse than the first, and the world seems to indicate the need to give up the struggle. However, the casting of cares is the strength needed in order to hold fast until the ultimate triumph of truth. Trusting leads safely through any difficult experiences to the final victory. John, the Revelator, says keep the attention fixed upon the forthcoming triumph. The teaching as message regarding the darkest hour before the dawn gives encouragement on the journey from carnal mind to awakened consciousness. There are periods when one's experience is filled that all difficulties now belong to the past, but then comes a sudden perception reversal, similar to the metaphoric appearance of the 7 plagues, which tries to cause one to lose heart and become ready to give up the struggle of ascension. But these are only reactions to the illusion of the world ego deception. The darkest hour is only a preliminary to the dawn of the fullness, Christ's material consciousness. Metaphysically, revelation emphasizes the necessity for eliminating all error thinking from consciousness. In this work of elimination, there must be no compromise. Every error thought that opposes soul, the only presence, has no foundation in truth and must be overcome and driven out of awareness. This is accomplished by denying their reality and power and affirming the truth, soul, the only presence. The city of Babylon of Revelation 17:18 signifies the aggregation or belief of a collective humanity on earth. Thus, Babylon indicates this is confusion or mixed thinking of fabrication and must be rectified. This is what Jesus refers to as a mixed state, meaning no one can serve two masters. You, ego, cannot serve truth and mammon. Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. This Babylon must be overthrown before one may enter upon the direct experience of awakened consciousness. The Battle of Armageddon is interpreted as the gathering together of the hordes of error thinking of lower conscious states to make war against truth within the awakened consciousness. This war is won by being placed under the leadership of individual materialism consciousness, Padmasambhava, with faithful trust in truth. Regarding Judgment Day, the overcomer is one who consciously is in the process of overcoming and knows that Judgment Day is every day the act of affirming truth, cheap from the destructive ones, gates, and is taking place within. In the air states of separation and ignorance, goats are cast into the refiner's fire of purification, where they are refined, purified, and transmuted into helpful, upbuilding forces. These forces symbolize the 12 powers, the jeweled foundation, New Jerusalem, functioning to the fullest degree. The 12 gates indicate perfect receptivity to the ideal, awakened consciousness. The measurements of the walls represent the unlimited capacity for truth of intensive illumination indicated in the scripture, Revelation 21:25. The glory of love is the lamp, and the lamp is the Lamb, Christ's material consciousness, the abode of soul, the only presence. Furthermore, references to the water of life and the tree of life make clear one following a period of wandering through the sense world is now fully restored to the rightful place. The righteous heiress, Avatara, the restoration of righteousness. This emphasizes the major recognition that this description of the New Jerusalem symbolizes the full attainment of awakened consciousness within the personality. This includes not only as an ideal, but also the materialization, the sublime ideal, Avatara, righteous heiress, as above heaven, so below on earth, operating as experience, is literally fulfilled. Just what all this means indicates the holy city, Jerusalem, is the habitation of peace within, and means the abiding consciousness of supreme peace is the result of continuous upholding of awakened consciousness, tempered with poise and confidence, which are founded on the 12 fundamental ideals, each representing a precious stone, and also an association of holiness, and peace, based as understanding, purity, and the willingness to be united with Christ's material consciousness, made ready as a bride adorned for her husband. It is absolutely necessary to pass through all the difficult experiences before attaining the full development of awakened consciousness. In other words, one inevitably suffers attacks and tortures of the wilderness, the world ego deceptions, self-deceit, before reaching New Jerusalem, awakened consciousness. I have overcome the world. John 16:33 signifies anada, no self, mastery over fabricated ego-driven duality. This rising above means one is anchored in sublime truth, the permanent reality of love. Overcoming the world denotes the correcting aspect. Awakened consciousness has overthrown any thinking or belief that does not align with truth. Soul, the only presence, the only truth. The awakened consciousness has ascended, and overthrown the ego-driven concepts of fear, otherness, and temporary superficial pleasures. Awakened consciousness indicates operating from a place of inner peace and strength that remains untouched by the external chaotic or negative circumstances. Awakened consciousness is the realignment with truth. Awakened consciousness means overcoming by silencing the commotion of the mind's worldly concerns and restoring focus on internal love that flourishes the external reality with peace. The world ego is the fabricated, erroneous system powered by the deception of the senses that uses a gravitational pull to keep focus outwardly. Awakened consciousness is the gaining superiority and winning against the mental chatter that constantly tries to undermine the love for the inner truth. But love defeats all these delusions, ego thoughts. Be of good cheer. Truth, awakened consciousness has overcome the world. Illusion, Maya. Awakened consciousness is the demonstration of understanding over air through vigilance of inner standing and gnosis, direct experience. The three portents in Revelation 12:14 represent the major shift from the intellectual, mental understanding to the awakened consciousness. The three portents symbolize the inner birth of Christ's material consciousness, the struggle with air of the world ego, and the final triumph of truth. The first portent symbolizes the birth of Christ's material consciousness within as the awakened consciousness of the personality, the woman clothed with the sun, the messianic hope, avatar, mirroring soul, the omnipresence. The child is the newborn awakened consciousness. This marks the awakening of truth, solar light, love, and shifting from the external intellect, breaking of the seals, to the active gnosis of direct experience. The red dragon trying to devour the child represented the intense resistance of the world ego, air beliefs, to this new solar birth. The second portent, or activities of the Antichrist, the beast, Revelations 13 verses 1 through 18. The two beasts, the world ego, from the sea, illusion, and land, the earth, body, represented the Antichrist, the personifications of all evil, ego, and air of the fabricated, the world illusion, often identified with the mark of the beast, 666. This portent symbolizes the final desperate efforts of the carnal mind to maintain control over the individual by using fear, false beliefs caused by being tied to the senses. They represent the sin, ignorance, and separation that must be purged from one on the journey to truth. The overcoming of the fallen states, conscious, unconscious, and subconscious. The third portent is the triumph of Christ, Revelation 14 verses 1 through 20. The Lamb standing on Mount Zion with 144,000, followed by three angels announcing judgment and the harvest of earth. Body means the absolute victory of truth over air, world ego. The harvest indicates the awakened consciousness, first portent, has matured and fully overcome the fabricated world ego. The second portent. This represents the final cleansing of the lower states and the establishment of right conditions. the righteous heirs, righteousness, dharma, and the kingdom, Christ's material consciousness, the abode of soul, the only presence. In summary of the process: 1. Awakened consciousness, birth of Christ. 2. Conflict, resistance of the beast or ego. And 3. Victory, the triumph of truth. Tat. The overall message is that while awakening may bring initial disruptions to old, comfortable, but erroneous habits, the war of the portents, the final outcome is the establishment of the new, higher, and peaceful state of awakened consciousness. A portent is usually regarded as an omen or warning, pointing to a momentous happening that is about to take place, the foreshadowing of a coming event. The blessing one, ready to regenerate, signifying an intelligent faith. The blossom is the first sign of faith, resigning the wisdom and joy, loving the tale of the rebirth, that the artificial body got it.